Welcome back to the Kansas City Underground Podcast.
Yay.
It's literally been weeks since Corey and I have been in this room together.
Yeah.
It may not feel that way for all of you, but here we are. We have barely seen each other.
I was talking to a couple friends recently, and they're like, who used to listen to our podcast. Hey, you guys still do that podcast yet? Oh, I'm going to start listening again. Cool, dude. That's great. No worries.
All right. So, I'll be real honest. I'm not actually sure what the last bit of episodes were, but we're going to start a new stretch of episodes here around drum roll.
I can't do that.
Guess what we're going to revisit again?
Let me guess. Disciple Maker Pathway.
Yeah, and right there, somebody was like, "I'm going to turn this off."
Not again. Not again.
They're doing it again. This time, we're going to focus on it in a different way, though. So most of our like past episodes around the missionary pathway have been like, "Hey, let's zero in on this phase and talk about some tools in here." And we're just like recording the same episodes. Corey's eating breakfast, by the way.
Sorry.
So we're going to focus on the missionary or disciple maker pathway in a different way. We're going to focus through the lens of identity. So this is Corey's idea.
Kind of. I had a big picture idea, and then you kind of refined it to something beautiful.
That's what we do together,
right.
Corey. Yeah. I refine you.
That's right. And I give you direction.
Yeah.
So I had my side. Well,
go ahead.
I was just like, I am just thinking of ways to keep talking about the things that are really important for us to talk about.
Yep.
But also be like with things that we've learned throughout the years, and a lot of even just I feel like a lot of my role is like finding the people that God is stirring. And sometimes it's being able to help people identify if they, where they are having a hard time even putting into words, how they're feeling or whatever. So I had this picture, which I don't think will be the overarching, illustration that we use.
Well, it wasn't refined. So
yeah, it was good. Well, and it was like a little bit too shallow, but I had this like picture of, you're at an amusement park and you're trying to figure out how to get to the, from one part of the park to the other. And there's always that, like, you are here, helping you identify this is where you are, or this is who you are, can help know where to go. But it was kind of this like, okay, here's some ideas, Brian, go with it.
Yeah. So I refined it, took it a little further. Normally when we talk about the disciple maker pathway, we're asking this question, like in our coaching groups, hey, where are you? What phase are you in? And based on that answer, how can we coach you to the next phase? Mm-hmm. So how long have you been here? Right. I mean, that's an important question. Are you stuck in this phase? And then what needs to get unstuck so you can move?
For instance, our microchurch right now, seeing a ton of fruit. We haven't multiplied. We've tried, a while. And so we're like, all right, we've been in this phase. How are we raising up leaders to multiply? So that's a very practical. Yeah. Where are you at in the phase?
Yeah. So you're in phase 4 and you're trying to get to phase 5 of multiplication. For this series, we want to ask a little different question. It's really 2 questions, but it's rooted in this kind of meta idea of identity. The first question is, who are you in this phase? And the second question is, who are you looking for? So that was kind of taking the question a little bit further. So it's multiple angles there. And these questions are really, again, about identity and partnership. Who am I becoming? And who might God be bringing alongside of me? So if you've heard us talk about the disciple maker pathway before, hopefully this is a little fresh, a little new. So this question of who are you, it helps you use this kind of metaphor of a mirror. You're looking into a mirror. It gives you language for who am I in this part of the journey? Who am I becoming in order to take the next step in the disciple maker pathway? Who you're looking for is more like a window. So a mirror and a window. When you're thinking about who am I looking for, like I'm looking out to see who might be the right kind of people or partners in this phase. What's going on in me that might be going on in them that we can link arms together and catalyze or spark something new. So, all right, that feels sufficient, like as an intro.
Yeah.
The disciple maker pathway through the lens of identity. Feel good about it?
I feel great.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is still capturing your idea.
I mean, yeah, totally.
So, all right, before we do this, though, I was doing a little prep work, and I thought we probably should talk a little bit about identity. You're going to have to unplug it.
Oh, hello, testing. Hey, I can hear.
Hey, all right.
All right, cool.
All right, so before not getting edited out, who has time for that? So let's talk about identity. We are in a cultural moment where this word identity is like, oof, that's a loaded phrase, loaded comment. I was thinking about it. I was like, yeah, let's talk about identity. And as soon as I typed that, I was like, man, there might be people that hear me say that. And it's like the guards go up, like, what are you about to say?
Oh, yeah.
And are you about to alienate me from you? Like, that's the problematic point that we're at, by the way, because if your guards go up and you're like, what's he about to say about identity? It reveals like what an issue it is, that it has become such a divider when we talk about identity, to go like, you know, political parties, or I don't know, man, all of that one feels like the most present
Yeah, it
because
definitely
people are
feels,
like
yeah,
dividing
totally.
themselves in that. But we do live in a world where identity shapes everything. And I would go, it really goes for us all the way back to the garden, where you have Adam and Eve wrestling with their own identity. And they wondered, should we be like God? Should I take this fruit and eat it?
Yeah.
So like the enemy is looking at them going, isn't he trying to keep something from you? And you're like wrestling with this. Should I be more? Should I know more? Should I have more? And like, that's the first breaking point.
That's good.
So like it's important for us to consider who we are. It's important for us to elevate this conversation and go like, after that moment, God is restoring identity. Like all through the story is calling us back to like, we were created with a holy identity, an imago Dei, the image of God in us that has been broken. And so, yeah, I just want to get back to that before I go on. I'm just giving you a moment.
Totally.
Nope. Ready for me to keep going?
Keep going.
So that's a little bit of the
waiting for you to
background
say something significant to respond
that you can respond to.
No, dude, that's good.
Well, here's why it, like, these few things have sort of been, I don't know, present at the forefront of my mind. So when you sent that, I was like, man, this feels like a collision of a lot of thought happening for me right now. This is probably like 4 weeks ago. I was interviewing some friends in Colorado who have written a book about these practices around, actually MDNA, that series that we did on that. And so like, how do you embody this? How do you make it practical? How do you live into it? And we were talking about disciple making, discipleship, disciple making, that MDNA that is so at the front of what we do. And I was telling them about how we've wrestled with the definition, what's been a helpful definition, how everyone should know what it is that they're doing. You got to have a definition to know where you're headed. And they used the Dallas Willard definition. And this is the quote. They said, a disciple of Jesus is someone who is becoming the type of person who would do the things Jesus did. That's their definition of a disciple. Yeah. Someone who's becoming the type of person who would do the things Jesus did. And I don't fully yet know how to describe what is happening internally for me. Yeah. When I hear that phrase, like when I say it, it doesn't sound as profound as like the inner wrestling.
Yeah. Because there's a gap probably of what we would generally define as a Jesus person and that, right? Is that kind of where it's like, it feels so profoundly different than, I don't know, I believe this certain thing, or I've declared this before, or I do good things, or whatever it is, but it's like, it makes it so much like the lordship of Jesus not being quite as vague. And I think the significance, so I've kind of been a Dallas Willard, pupil in some ways for a long time. And why I think this is so significant of a way of understanding a disciple. First he often uses the word apprentice. That more gets to the definition of what we're saying here. But also, like, it's not just like, what would Jesus, not that classic WWJD, what would Jesus do? Although that's great.
Yeah.
But there's such cultural differences from a Palestinian Jewish rabbi 2,000 years ago to like my job in 2025 or my family. It's like, what would Jesus do? It's sometimes hard to wrap our mind exactly what he would do because, he's mostly itinerant, homeless, going around with, the next
Yeah,
few
yeah,
years. So it's just like hard to like fathom that. But it's like, am I doing the things Jesus would be doing if he was me in that situation?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
that's the kind of framework that we talk about discipleship. And it is significant. Are we becoming the type of people who would do the things that Jesus would do as if he was us in that position?
Hmm.
And that takes some shifting. When we
Hmm.
talk about metanoia and transformation of our mind and repentance, that there's got to be some sort of shift. So maybe it's like something stirring in us, or it's uncomfortable. It becomes from a hardship or a passion, but something's got to shift for us to. We're just doing this Christian-y thing to becoming like what Jesus would be like in our situation. There's something that's got to change.
Yeah. So it's as I've been thinking about it, like for the last 3 weeks, I'm like, this is affecting my parenting. It's not, I should tell my
Yeah,
kids to do a Bible study and pray more.
yeah.
It's, how am I helping my kids become the type of people that would do the things Jesus did?
That's so.
It's affecting like where I think I should spend my time. Like that's been another one that's come up where it's
Mm,
like, okay, if I'm going to become the type of person that would do the things Jesus did, I need to spend time in the places he did, because in those spaces, he did certain things.
mm,
And I can't become the person that would do the things Jesus did if I don't spend time in the places where Jesus spent his time, so that I'm challenged to go,
exactly right.
do I respond the same way in this space like Jesus did in
Yeah,
this space?
yeah,
So it's like, yeah, it's becoming like a whole filter and lens through which I see life.
yeah. No, totally. And then, I mean, in the end, and I don't know if this is exactly where we're going with this, but as missionaries, this is how we think.
Hmm.
How much are we really pressing in to becoming the person like Jesus would have us be if we end up not joining him in the very places that he would be? Like, and that's kind of, I think, your point from before. And this is where it's like so the default of American Christians is to find people who think just like us and wall ourselves off and silo ourselves off to the point that we think evangelism is just getting people into our world when they're as siloed and separated as they've ever been.
Hmm.
And so like we have tons of people who are proclaimed followers of Jesus that actually have a passion to experience the living God and like are so involved in their churches and all that stuff. And there's goodness in that.
Yep.
But we just want to like humbly throw it out there to say, are you living, if that's your understanding of discipleship, maybe you're growing in knowledge and you're in more and more Bible studies and small groups and more worship gatherings and more all these things that are good on paper and in for our soul. I mean, on paper, in
Yeah,
a
yeah,
sense,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
the good things, inherently good things. If our understanding of discipleship is to just grow in those things, then we are missing the sent one.
Hmm.
Like, read the book of John and see how many times it talks about Jesus was sent. We are missing joining the sent Jesus to the places that he's called us in the world that we're in. How would Jesus be sent in my life in 2025? How would I live like Jesus would live in my world in 2025? Sentness is a significant part, all right, of the identity of who Jesus is. So for many of us, it takes this like dissonance in our soul.
Mm.
Like this like something has got to be different than what I've understood life in Jesus to be. And for many, 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 many people, that is what we call we are unpacking to unpack our faith to. What's the why can't I think of this word? That's the common word of like, I was a Christian, but I've unpacked that and I'm no longer a Christian.
Deconstruction.
Deconstruct. Why can't I think of a simple word? Like, so yeah, there's so much deconstruction that's happening. And people talk about they've just totally deconstructed their faith and their religion. And like, I would argue there is a level, if we're going to join Jesus and we're going to think like Jesus, we're going to live like Jesus in our place, there actually is a very healthy level of deconstruction that has to happen. Not deconstructing Jesus, but maybe deconstructing some of the religious walls that we've been in so that we can join Jesus
Mm.
in a new way, right? So for like, we often call that this holy discontentment.
Yeah.
Right. So if that's kind of around really the topic of today. It's like the intro, and then let's move into the second thing. It's like so much of our identity begins as we join Jesus in a holy discontentment. There's got to be something more or something else, something that God is calling me to that I'm not yet living in.
Yeah. And so we're right into it. This is where we wanted to go today, is to talk about, like, this is not a phase in the missionary pathway.
Mm-hmm.
This is an identity piece. Like, that's the phrase that I want to use, is like, when you sent the message, like, hey, let's talk about who we are in each of these phases, or the identity piece. And I was thinking about all the disciple stuff. I was like, this is really helpful to start thinking of the disciple maker pathway through the lens of, how does each phase help me become the type of person who would do the things Jesus did?
Mm-hmm.
So just let that be the overarching question. How does each phase of the disciple maker pathway help me become the type of person who would do the things Jesus did? But before we get to
That's so
phase
good,
one,
Brian.
thank
That's
you.
so much better than what I texted you about. That's so good, man.
Before we get to phase one, it's like, what's the type of person that launches me into phase one? And I would say,
Good.
I would agree with you. It's the holy discontented piece. It's like, for all of us, I would say, that have like committed to pursuing Jesus, and have decided, like, there's gotta be more. It's like, there's not a way to say it without saying the other thing, is what I'm trying to say. It's like,
yeah.
when you move beyond, I just show up, like, what's the thing? There's something in you. And it's like, that's actually the type of person Jesus was. He was discontented with the way things were.
Yeah.
It's why he chose to put on flesh and come, is because he was discontented with the way things were. Like, the type of person Jesus was is this: what you're doing has missed the point of the reconciliation of all things, of my flourishing in every sphere of society, and restoring earth to look more like heaven. Is there's a discontentedness in God to go, I'm going to pursue you. I'm coming down. I'm going to be like you.
Yeah.
I mean, you could look back on all of the people of Israel, and they're also going, like, this isn't it.
Yeah.
Like, we're not seeing it yet. We're not seeing it yet.
Yeah, totally.
And Jesus disrupts the system. So disruption's a part of this. But what does it mean for us to go, like, man, if you're sitting listening and you're going, like, yeah, I'm often asking the question, there's more, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
don't hear us in a negative light, going like, oh, there's a bunch of people going, there must be more. We're not doing enough.
Yeah.
It's not about enough. It's about an opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah. It's something it's deep in your soul that you can't hear a podcast about or a sermon or something and be like, that'll change, if that makes sense. So, like, I got like multiple things in my brain, because we're talking about both the idea of the mirror in the window. Are you circling back to that, or can I speak to that?
You can do
quick?
it. Yeah.
Like
This is the mirror piece.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. This is the who we are, like, personal piece, and then the window side of it is often like, if you're doing kind of the stuff that we're doing in the city, you're mobilizing people, you're coming alongside believers. We have to kind of attune our brain a little bit to find those people who God is stirring. And we're talking already believers. Like, it's the same concept when we're talking about, finding persons of peace. And, we'll get to that also plenty. Finding spiritually open people who don't yet know Jesus, same concept. We're looking for where God, like the fingerprints of God in their lives. And it's, for me, just the more I've done this, I can like identify that really quickly for believers who will have this, like, I think God's calling me to something more, and it's like, I don't, and sometimes they're like starting to like disconnect a little bit from the church, and there's can be good and bad things with that, right? But sometimes you can see it, like, I'm not looking for angry people, if that makes sense.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
or at least not anger, like out of control, mean. I'm
Yeah.
looking for anger in the sense of like the redeemed,
Passion.
like the passion, the like, oh, I'm not just looking for people who had a bad experience and to say, like, screw them, screw all that, I'm done with that. And that's not who I'm looking for.
Yeah.
I'm looking for something that's stirring
There's
inside of
a
them.
holy hunger might be.
Yeah.
Like,
But it's like, yeah, totally. I'm hungry for something else than what I've experienced. So that's the window part of it. The mirror part of it might be you're listening. Maybe you're sending this podcast to somebody who's like, dude, I think this is totally you. And you may not even have language for it yet. You may not even like think there's something different, but it's like as we talk, you're like, that is me. That is totally me. Then I want to say, stay tuned or just dive all in. Because I'm also thinking about Jesus and the way in which he recruited people, the interactions that he had with people. Like as you're talking, I'm just thinking, well, isn't that how he recruited his disciples?
Mm-hmm.
This invitation. I mean, to be a fisherman and to leave it all, to just kind of blindly just start taking steps towards Jesus takes a level, yes, of obedience, but also of like, all right, now's my time.
This is the thing we were always longing for. He's here.
Yeah.
We're seeing stuff. Yeah.
There's that feel. So I don't know if it's like blatant discontentment, but I was like thinking of like, what about John 3, Nicodemus? Like I was just like, I picture this Nicodemus like coming to him in the night of like, tell me more about this. I don't quite get it, but it's like there's something stirring inside of me that's beyond just like spiritual curiosity. And it's to like kingdom way, like the way that which you're doing things. Like I want in on that, but I don't get it. Like I just feel like that's so much of what Jesus did was finding those people that God is drawing, the Father's drawing in. And instead of just trying to convince people to get there, which I think is often what we try to do, right?
Yeah. Yeah. As I'm listening to you again, thinking of the mirror on my own life, it's like you can't, like you said, it has to be spirit inspired. And we have, I think, done our best over the last few years to like shift away from like just pointing the finger and poking at like the predominant model.
Yeah.
So I don't want to do that.
Yeah. And that's not just lip service from us, y'all.
Yeah, like we've wrestled with that idea.
Totally. We cannot be about unity in the church and just tear people down. Like we don't want to do that. We need the church in all of its forms. However,
there is this space where it's like, man, so I totally agree with what you just said. Like it has to be spirit inspired and we can't just like ask people to do stuff. I do think we have to like cultivate that anger in people.
Yeah.
And constantly call out like, again, holding that question up, are you becoming the type of person that would do the things Jesus did? As you examine your life and you look at his, which again, I was like, well, if I want to become like the person that would do the things Jesus did, I have to read the text more because I need to understand more of who he was. And I actually, the whole idea is actually pushing me more towards scripture and prayer and community to go like, I need to spend more time abiding with him because I'll learn more about him. And then I'll want to be like the person that would do the things Jesus did.
Yeah.
And to cultivate that like discontent with like, this world is not as it should be.
Yep.
My journey with Jesus as a passive bystander is not really what he called his disciples to do. To become the person that would do the things Jesus did, I have to continually invite people to reorient their life around his, because that's what he did. Hey, will you come see? Will you come follow? Will you come die? And so, yeah, like there is a call, like this is a red pill moment. It's the red pill in the Matrix, right? The red pill.
I think so. I always get confused on what color the pill.
But this is the moment where it's like,
color pill.
Take the one that like wakes you up to go, yes. Like as I was typing a lot of this stuff out, I was like, this is not usually us. We just wait for people to go like, hey, I would like to be trained. But there is something in me right now that's like, I want to wake people up. If there's something in you saying like, there must be more, I feel like I'm doing a sermon right now. I'm like, then yes, this is you. Like,
raise your hand.
Let's go.
Come on forward. Not that that's bad.
Yeah. So it's like, I know this episode might feel like a little bit of we're just rambling around the same idea, but it's like everything about the disciple maker pathway begins here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Around examining yourself to go, is there a holy discontent in me? And then my reflection around the window piece is like, if there are people in your life that you're constantly having conversations with, I would touch a little further apart from just the believers in your life to go, do you like, I've got a guy in mind right now that's like, he's just discontented.
And that's different than wholly discontented.
Right. But I'm like, I wonder if this is a moment to invite him
Mm.
to go like, that discontent that you feel that like you're communicating to me, Jesus wants to redeem that for
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. That's kind of what I was thinking as you were talking. Like, um, we're big on, especially you, Brian. You're big on emotions,
I am.
or and just thinking and reframing even our understanding about emotions. And there's a lot of assumption that there are certain emotions that are good and certain emotions that are bad, right? And like anger is a bad emotion, and it's really reframing. It's like, nah, man, emotions are inherently neutral in a sense, right?
Yeah.
Can they be good and bad elements of that? Absolutely. A lot of this, what Chip Dodd
Mhm.
from Voice
Voice
of
of
the
the heart.
Heart. It's just a big piece of, even as we walk through things with men in our network. Um, I think of that very idea when it comes to anger. That's a really significant thing. Most of the times when we think of anger or the way that it's lashed out in our brain, it's unhealthy. There isn't a lot of negativity to that. It's not a holy anger. It's not Jesus turning over the tables. He was angry
For something.
for us, because it was unjust,
Yeah.
right? And there was like, this is not the way of the kingdom, and this is blatant hypocrisy, and there's a depth to it. And I always think of, like, we think Jesus is just like a temper tantrum out of control. I do not think that's what it was,
Mm-mm.
right? Like, because there was a very calculated response to anger. I think that's what the picture I'm thinking of with holy discontentment. Like, I have been around a lot of people who are just angry at the church, angry at Christians, angry at politics, angry at, feeling, angry at what they did to me or said to me, or just what I assumed they thought. There's anger, and it's not coming from this like healthy justice place. It's coming from selfishness, or how it affected me, or like there's like just, I don't know how to totally describe it. Those are actually the people that will be pretty toxic as we're looking for through the window to try
Mhm.
to find. If I just form all of our disciple makers and missionaries who come from that space, we're going to be people that no one wants to be around, right? And we're not actually going to be all that effective, because the answer is not a programmatic shift or to throw the church under the bus. The answer is to join Jesus.
Mm.
Right? So
That's right.
so a holy discontentment is something that's little more like pure. It's coming from the way of Jesus. It's probably is coming from spending more time with him or in his word, or being around people who are like that, right? Like,
Mhm.
being around people who think that way rubs off, right?
Mhm.
So when we talk about holy discontentment, we're not just talking about angry. We're talking about holy anger that actually has more self-control than it does just temper tantrum or selfish focused anger. So I just think that if we're talking about the window side of it, we can't overlook that piece, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. So uh that's sort of it for this first episode. You're like, you guys just talked about anger the whole time.
No,
I'm
no.
just kidding. Um, we just wanted to set up kind of where we're going in this series and ask you to consider what is that. Maybe you're a disciple maker in our network and you're listening to this and you're like, yeah, I've sort of let that go dormant for a while.
Yeah.
Like we're asking, I'd go, you can actually cultivate that up
Mm,
again.
mm. It's good,
And
man.
draw that out and say like, actually, I do want to, like, I want us to give you some sort of specific action steps
Yeah.
at the end of each of these to consider that identity piece. So today, 3 questions. The first one is like, is maybe not a question, but an action step to like spend some time with this phrase. Am I becoming like the person who would do the things Jesus did?
Mm,
Where's there a gap in that? What does it mean for me to become like the person who would do the things Jesus did?
yeah.
The second is to spend some time like with the spirit and inviting this, like, what is the discontent in me? Am
Mm,
I?
mm,
Am I just like pushing play, rewind,
mm,
rinse, repeat, whatever? Like, spirit, will you cultivate in me a discontent with the way things are
mhm.
so that I can lean back into what you want to do next?
Good.
Like as we again think about Jesus, it's like there's a discontent in the way the world was. I am choosing to enter it, to do something about it. And then as he's here, you mentioned all of these stories like Jesus turning over tables, um,
Mhm,
going to be among the poor, healing on the Sabbath,
mm,
like turning over all of those things and go like, These things should not be. They're preventing people from experiencing a flourishing life with Jesus.
Mhm.
What's my part? You don't have to own the whole thing. Like,
Yeah.
you don't have to save the world, but like, what's the discontent in you that he's calling out?
What would he be doing
Yeah, in response to
in
that.
your setting
Yeah,
if you're becoming more like him?
yeah.
Like, and so that's why that's exactly the right question. So that's good. Sorry, was that 2 questions?
That's two. The
Okay.
third one is like, we want this series to be like a way to invite more disciple makers. Like, we long for that.
Yeah.
W There's no invitation to a Sunday morning space,
Yeah.
but, like, who's in your life that it's time to go like, "Hey, I see this discontentment in you, and there's some, like, a righteous anger in it. I wanna invite you to journey with me."
Yeah. That's good.
Like, so to take 15, 20, 30 minutes, sit with those questions and go, "Is there someone that you can begin to say, 'Will you journey with me? I wanna help you become like the person that would do the types of things Jesus did.'"
Guys, I think one of the reasons, there was some fruitfulness in the early years of our, world with underground was because we capitalized on a ton of people who felt this way. Because we had years of building relationships and not always exactly knowing how to unleash that, right? And so we had a lot. And then, so we're at a point now where, yeah, there's a lot of that's present in the city. We want to see that emerging and gathering once again. Like, we've taken a lot of the low-hanging fruit in the city that we knew of of people who felt this way. And now it's like, all right, how are we finding more? And how can we mobilize more? And a lot of them might be coming from the churches and groups that have emerged, right? Others might be like we're finding other believers already in the city. But so I think that might be where a little bit of that stirring for you right now. It's like, I want to wake people up. Like, I think
Yeah,
that's,
yeah.
yeah, like I think we do feel a little bit of urgency to kind of see that again in this next era of where we're at in Kansas City. So I think that's good, man. This is a good, like, yeah, where we are on the map type of thing. It's like, if that's you, then yeah, man, let's join into something more intentional. Like, how can you join Jesus on mission, right? Like, in the space that God has called you to. That's really what the disciple maker pathway is. It's like we're joining Jesus. How are some ways we actually do this? But it's if you're just gonna do the actions, or more, what I see is if you just want to go agree with the concepts,
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
Jesus would totally do this,
Yeah.
like, but you have no intention, that might be because you lack some of this, like, holy discontentment, or you just haven't really felt it. It hasn't been burning in you enough to actually respond. so,
Yeah, yeah.
so I would say, if that's, maybe, yeah, send it to the people who you think, I don't know, send this podcast or whatever. Engage with the people that you think, man, this holy discontentment, I see it. It's there.
All right. Thanks for hanging. Next week, we're going to talk about second conversions. Yeah, be curious about what that is.
What?